Well, everyone, we've made it to training camp, and it's finally time to put the off-season behind us, and now we move forward into the 2022 season for the Dallas Cowboys. Today, we'll talk about the themes and overall arc that I think this team needs to go through for the 2022 season, and what I believe this training camp needs to do to help our Cowboys have a decent to successful year in 2022. Before we begin this video, if you want to continue to get more training camp content from myself, like this video as it helps it perform better in YouTube's algorithm. Thank you for that. Subscribe if you're new so that you don't miss out on the content when it comes out. And hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on the content and you get directly notified through notifications when the training camp content comes out. So, with the release of this video being the introduction to training camp, there will be several videos that I already have planned for what's been going on and what I've been hearing. So you might get a bunch of videos today. Now look, the big thing that I want the Cowboys to focus on this year is to start playing tougher and overall being a better team at making late-end decisions towards the end of the year. Now, that is a theme that occurred towards the tail end of the 2021 season. The Dallas Cowboys were not playing relatively smart with how they should have been approaching things, especially with the early parts of the season. That's number one. Number two, we saw what happened in the playoff game versus San Francisco. They got clowned, and they were apparently scared to play in the playoff game. Whether that's true or not is besides the point. But with all of that, I think it's important that the Dallas Cowboys try to develop a sense of toughness. And this is something that has been missing from the Cowboys for quite some time. You know, it's something that has been a leftover part of the Garrett era that many people don't talk about. You know, and what do people are like, oh, what do you mean, Space? Well, you know how we would go into games and it would feel like the Cowboys would get punched into the mouth and then they wouldn't respond. Now, sometimes under the Mike McCarthy experience that we've had now, they've been punched in the mouth and they have responded. We saw that several times this year. However, what I think has happened is that we're moving further and further away from that culture that was so ingrained for the past 10 years that we're going to see something change this year, I would hope. Now look, I get it. We had the front office shenanigans, and maybe I'm just, drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit. I'm not saying the Cowboys are going to do something special this year. However, what I will say is that based off of how they approach the draft and the players that they added, it feels like the theme has been for this Mike McCarthy experience going into year 3 is that the Cowboys are trying to build a tough physical football program. And I know that sounds cliche, knowing how Jason Garrett would say, oh, we want to play Cowboy football, this, that, and the third. But no, like, you could see it with the players that they draft. You see the sentiment of they want to be up in your face. They want to go out there and they want to beat the crap out of you. And that's something that the Cowboys need. When you have these guys on your team, like going back to the playoff game, you see the swagger that San Francisco walked into the game with. That's what I want to see my Cowboys do. I want to see them go into a game where they are ready to take on that team and be like, listen, we're going to punch you in the mouth whether you like it or not. And they need to be consistent at doing that. Like, they can't have this on-off switch every single week. And with that moves me to the second point of the Cowboys being able to get past the whole, we start off hot to start the year, and we get away from what works. I'm hoping that changes, and that's specifically tailored to Kellen Moore in particular. Kellen Moore is an interesting character. There are games where he looks like a freaking genius, and other times he looks just scared to do anything. And it really needs to be said that with the front office being the way it is, this coaching staff, with the offensive personnel that they have, needs to get this offensive line intact. They need to figure out what's going to happen at receiver. They need to get this stuff figured out, because with how things have gone this offseason, you're pretty much playing with a squad that you don't have as much talent with, per se, compared to last season. But you have a lot of young guys that you need to tailor into the team. So with the Cowboys' inability to sign outside free agents, you were banking on these young guys to come in and step up. That is also a big theme. is the young movement or the youth movement, however you want to coin it as, them coming in here and stepping up is not even like something to expect. Like, they need to do something. The Cowboys have put that pressure on the young guys, which I hate doing, because if they don't meet those expectations, then we get mad at the rookies, even though it's the front office's fault that they aren't putting them in the best position to develop, and they're just kind of like, oh, well, we're just throwing you out there, and we're hoping that you do your thing. So I think that that's going to be a big thing this training camp. I want to see some nasty play with the offensive line. I want to see toughness all around. I'm not wanting to see this, corporate nonsense. And I hope Mike McCarthy's third year instills that, as it is a big year for Mike McCarthy, right? The Cowboys need to get this ship in the right direction, because McCarthy does not have the same type of leash that a Jason Garrett had. This could very well be Mike McCarthy's last year in Dallas if he disappoints, and he could see either Kellen Moore or Dan Quinn. More than likely, from what we're hearing, Dan Quinn could end up being the next head coach of the Cowboys if McCarthy fails to get the Cowboys back to the postseason. And that's a huge thing for me, and I said this in previous videos, and I stand by that going into training camp. It's on Mike McCarthy to mentor Kellen Moore as he grows as a play caller to ensure that the offense runs fluidly. On top of that, it's Dan Quinn's responsibility, of course, to do what's best with what he has. But again, I'm not going to entirely blame, either one of them more in particular, because of the fact that you have downgraded the roster and you're putting, again, your chips in the table for unproven assets. And so that's not me insulting these young players. It's just that's the truth of the matter, And, with Micah, I kind of understood what you were getting in with him, but still. So another thing, too, would be this is a huge year for, your quarterback, Dak Prescott. Whether people want to admit it or not, your quarterback is going to have a lot of eyes on him, more so this year than others, because of the narrative that is surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. He has lost Amari Cooper. His offensive line is in retooling mode. So if Dak Prescott has a year similar to 2021, are we going to still say that he's not a good quarterback, in the sense of, okay, he puts up 37 odd touchdowns and 5 to 10 interceptions and 4,500 yards? Now we're going to complain about that? I think that we need to give him props if he does it with that type of situation in terms of his position. And the Cowboys as a whole, the goal for this year, make it back to the postseason. This team has the ability to at least get there, whether it be through division or wild card. I definitely think they're an upper level team in the conference, where, and that's not really saying much, but again, the Dallas Cowboys are responsible for getting this thing done. We have gone through that 6-10 season. We had the 12-5 campaign. I would say anything less, well, we all know the standard is to win it all, but if we're talking about what I think the Cowboys are looking at it, if this team does not return to the postseason once again, this team is most likely going to be in a situation where McCarthy is done. The Cowboys bring in a new head coach, whoever it may be, and they move on from there. So again, the theme of this training camp, ladies and gentlemen, is to be a tougher football team, a team that's not afraid to snap necks and just take what's theirs, and just bring an overall swagger to this team rather than the whole corporate vibe that Garrett gave. And if that continues, then we all know what's going to happen. So that's going to be a huge thing this season. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Welcome to training camp. More content on the way. If you can leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and hit the notification bell on the way out. Thank you. And make sure to click on this video if you didn't see it last time, so you get caught up with all my content. Alrighty, boys and girls, and everybody else, we're now in the 2022 season officially. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.